Welcome. In front of me is a POCO X7 Pro, and today I will show you a couple tweaks and the tricks you can do on this device. So, jumping straight into it, let's open up settings and we're going to navigate to the option. Where is it? I'm going to start off with the notifications and status bar. So here we have a couple of different things. We have the notification style. This allows you to change between just how this kind of thing looks like. We have two options. We have the classic one, and I don't actually see too much of a difference. So this should be a bit smaller. The icons, don't really see that much of a difference, but I guess this might be very subtle. Next, the one that is actually, at least to me, a little bit more interesting would be the icons. This defines how many icons will be visible in the status bar. By default, I think it is set to 3 instead of 1, but you can change that. Or you can just not show any kind of icons. When you pull it down, you can still see the notifications though. And then we have the battery indicator. So here we have the normal battery with percentage inside and with percentage outside. So you can choose whichever one you want. I believe you can also change how the battery is being displayed somewhere else in the battery section. So you can have it maybe vertical, but I want to point out that the battery inside of the percentage inside of the battery is only available when the battery is vertical instead of horizontal, or no, the other way around, when it's right horizontal instead of the vertical. So yeah, now let's move over to home screen. Here we have a little bit more options. So we have things like the home screen style somewhere. I think it's this one. Yep, there we go. So home screen, and you can change the drawer mode or classic. I think the classic one comes by default. I personally like the drawer mode, as it just allows you to have all the applications neatly stored in, look at this, pull-up drawer. And also one thing that Xiaomi has is the category tab. So all the applications will automatically be sorted to each one of its categories, making it much simpler to find a specific one if you have a lot of applications installed. One thing that I would recommend though is when you go into the settings, you can actually customize the categories. And here we have a bunch of ones that are obviously enabled. You can create custom ones, and you would be able to name these categories. So what you could do is just shorten the name of them to not be like communication, as this is taking a stupid amount of space. If you look at right here, communication itself takes about a third of the space right here. If you, for instance, just shorten it to something like com, and then ent for entertainment, this would obviously allow you to have more categories visible at the same time, allowing you to switch through them easier instead of having to scroll through them. When you have to scroll through them, it becomes obviously less convenient. And just kind of showcase one thing, I personally use myself the smart launcher. So if I show this, I have all the categories at the bottom as an icon, so that's kind of what I would be looking for with the default one. So you could try to do that, but like I said, no icons for you here. You would just have to shorten the name to have this kind of effect. But the categories is a fantastic kind of thing that you can utilize with the up tray. Now let's go back into the settings. So see if there's anything interesting. There is also the system navigation in here. So we have the button navigation and gesture. I'm going to switch to gestures as that's what I prefer using. And in here, we have some gesture confirmation. In some cases, this is actually something that I've seen for the first time, and it's actually pretty nice to have because I would like to turn that off on other devices. So what it refers to is when you sometimes, for instance, watch a movie and you swipe up, it gives you this pop-up, swipe again to close, or something along those lines. You can get rid of this and just actually have it close the first time when you swipe. Actually, this is a very nice kind of addition. And another thing in here is the hide full screen indicator, which is this bar at the bottom. It serves no purpose, so I'm just going to get rid of it for a cleaner look. And that's about everything that we have in here. So let's move over to the display now. So display and brightness, and here we have dark mode and light mode, so you can switch between them. Below that you have the dark mode options, which there we go. So you have to switch it on to actually see the options. Now, so when you switch it on, you have the options to have it either from sunset to sunrise or on a custom timer. So it would switch from light mode to dark mode, for instance, during the nighttime, and vice versa during the daytime. It would switch back to light mode, which arguably would be the best kind of option, as during the daytime it's, I would say, easier to see light mode in direct sunlight, while dark mode is much easier on the eyes during the nighttime. So it's a pretty nice option. Now, if we start scrolling down, and here we also have the color scheme, this allows you to change between the saturation of the display. By default, it will come with something like vivid, most likely, which I don't exactly remember which option was selected, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't the original Color Pro. So vivid is most likely the default one. We also have the saturated, which is even more vivid, and we have the original Color Pro. So this one will be the most toned down and try to reproduce realistic colors, unlike the vivid, which just tries to look more colorful and more appealing to the eye. At the end of the day, these options are all up to preference, and under advanced settings we have the option to, there we go, change it to P3 or sRGB color gamut, though I'm not sure how accurate that is. And you can actually edit the RGB colors right here. So this would actually allow you to color tune your display to be more accurate, which is a pretty nice option to have if you're looking for that very accurate color reproduction. I don't have anything to check how close you can get to some kind of color space right here, as I don't have any kind of tools to do that. But if you do, obviously this is probably going to be a very useful option for you. Now, moving on, we'll have the refresh rate and AI engine. So under refresh rate, we have a couple options. We have the default, which is recommended, and that is going to utilize both standard and high refresh rate, and it's going to be the option that you most likely want to use. But for selected few people that don't really see don't see a difference between high and standard refresh rate, which you would need to actually change to custom and then swap between 60 and 120 to actually see the difference. If you don't see much of a difference between these two options, and I don't mean on video, in person this will obviously, when you're looking at the device, look much different than on camera. Camera is recording only at 60, so the only difference you will see between me switching it on recording is that this one just looks like a smoother blur, while the 60 looks more choppy, and that's the only difference. So obviously the smoother blur means that there's way more content being shown for me on my end, so it looks much smoother for me, and that is what I prefer. So going back to what I was going to get it to, if you prefer the 120 option and it looks super smooth and nice to you, stick with the default. This gives you that option, plus reduces the refresh rate when there's no content that can basically needs to display at this refresh rate. So if I were to scroll down here, nothing is moving on the screen, therefore the screen automatically lowers down the refresh rate to 60 or possibly even like 10 Hertz. I don't exactly know what it does here, what the refresh rate is, but anything below 120 obviously will save battery. So that is a way to save on power while still having the benefit of high refresh rate. Now, if you don't see a difference between 120 and 60, then change to 60 and you'll have a better battery life. And that's about as simple as it gets. Anyway, now under the AI engine, image engine, we have a couple different things. We have super resolution, HDR, and MEMC. So going over these, super resolution, I would say self-explanatory, just upscales images. It tries to give you like a, say, more like a swiped comparison and it uses processor, so all these options, all three, will consume more of your phone's battery when they're being utilized. They're not going to be utilized all the time, only in supported things, maybe like your photo gallery or for instance YouTube and other things, depending on which options you're using. But you can enable all of them, and they will try to improve your image quality all throughout different applications. So super resolution increases the image resolution by upscaling it. HDR converts standard dynamic range to high dynamic range. This is fake, so it's trying to interpret what this image should be looking like as an HDR image. So not everything will look accurate or how it would, or as good, I would say, as an actual HDR content. And lastly will be the MEMC, which is the addition of interpolated frames. So content will look smoother when watching it. So for instance, movies, if you're watching movies are usually at 24 frames per second, I believe. This will probably double them to like near 50 frames. So they will look much smoother. I want to point that out and give you this kind of info. So in content like what you're seeing right here, this will look very nice. In movies, particularly sci-fi, it's not as good. Any kind of movie, for instance, Marvel movies as an example, will look horrendous with higher frame rates as everything starts to look very fake and very like visibly fake. So it might not be the best option. And TV shows, it starts to look very soap opera-ish. So it might not be as good of an option, but also if you already have like a newer TV at home, you might already be used to this because most TVs do have this option already and it comes enabled by default. So if you feel that your content looks choppy here, then you can enable that, and obviously this will do the same thing that your TV most likely already does. Okay, now moving on, we have fingerprint animation. Let's quickly see. So fingerprint unlock. I don't think I have added fingerprint, so I'm gonna quickly do that because I think in here we have fingerprint animation. So let's just quickly, come on, there we go. So unfortunately we don't have a fingerprint animation in here. We do have the shortcut for some reason. Oh, I actually forgot about the existence of this. And that's a neat option if you want to kind of hold your finger on the screen. I'll just demonstrate it. So when you unlock your device, you hold it and you can see it gives you a couple options. Now you can change what is visible right here, but we have QR code scanner and we have search at the moment. So you can just swipe to it and let go and it will automatically open it up. It is a cool kind of option, though the time it takes to like say hold and unlock it and then swipe, it's not as smooth as I would like it. It would be very nice if this was a bit quicker, but still an option for you to check out if you want to maybe utilize this. Now there's not much more here that I want to show, so yeah, that basically sums it up. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.